All right, so I am doing this video. There's a couple of different angles that I want to take with this. I know a lot of folks are going to praise this as an awesome thing because you look at what Disney, let's say, has done to some of the brandings and the brands that they've acquired. They look at this as a reflection of that, but I would think it'd be slightly dishonest to look at it like that when we talk about what's happening right now. And that has nothing to do with it per se. My issues with Disney in that regards can be separated from this problem because this problem is a different issue. As mentioned here, Disney is to lay off, thanks CNBC, Disney to lay off 28,000 employees as coronavirus slams its theme park business. Prolonged closures at Disney's California-based theme parks. You know that California has been one of the states that have been more strict in terms of their policies and the restrictions and so forth. Here we go. Though it does say that it has forced the company to lay off 28,000 employees across its parks experiences and consumer products division, the company said. In a memo sent to employees on Tuesday, Josh D'Amaro, head of parks of Disney, detailed several difficult decisions the company had to make in the wake of the Modelo virus pandemic, including ending its furlough of thousands of employees. So it looks like employees that were once furloughed are now going to be completely laid off. Shares of the company fell less than 2% at the closing bell on Tuesday. Around 67% of the 28,000 laid off were part-time. So the majority of them were part-time employees, but not all of them. So you're still getting a little over 30% of those employees being full-time employees, or rather not part-time employees. And while Disney's theme parks in Florida, Paris, yada yada have been reopened with limited capacity, both California Adventure Disneyland have remained shuttered in Anaheim. And I know they're probably going to go on here. Disney had been doing a lot of things to try to avoid this. Really, they had been, trying to become more efficient. All the things they were looking to like capitalize on. They had held. They were not continuing on with some of those projects. They had even the furloughed workers were getting like benefits and stuff like that. So they were trying to keep this thing rolling, but it could only be kept so far before now they had to shut it completely down. And we talked about this on the News and Why It Matters. Is why I'm in this attire right now, actually. But yeah, that's sort of where where we're at. And of course, it's primarily not only though dealing with California, considering that it makes it near impossible for them to operate. And this is the way this is worded as an example. I hate that. I hate that people say Disney cut 28,000 domestic jobs due to impact of the pandemic, because they blame it on the virus when it's not the virus that's doing this. OK, it is the lockdowns by way of the government which essentially makes it illegal to operate business as you were in any capacity, right? And in a lot of cases, make it illegal to operate in its entirety, depending on what industry that you're in. That's on the state. That's not on anybody else but the state. That's on the state, bros. So let's call it what it is. I hate that we keep talking about, well, the virus did. No, the virus didn't do that. There are plenty of people that were willing to work, plenty of people that were willing to use their services, go to the park, but they can't because it's illegal. Or they have to follow these stupid rules, like not a lot of people, though some will, but not a lot, want to go to a freaking park and have the mask on, like face outside covered the entire time. That's not fun. But these restrictions are what's doing them in. And I called this because what happened was a lot of, the fake money, the monopoly money being printed out of thin air and also being handed. A lot of people wonder why those big businesses were getting a lot of those as far as not individuals. This is why it's going to get worse as long as this continues, because a lot of those big businesses were able to kind of keep the wheels churning at a loss operating essentially because of that government money, right? So it wasn't just small business. We know small businesses were screwed, but it's not just small businesses. It's the big ones too. And unfortunately, what people don't consider is that, well, it's not just rich people that work for these businesses. There's people that are working part-time. These are people working full-time. These are regular individuals like you and I. They don't have millions and millions of dollars that are now out of work. 28,000 of them to be exact. And that's because of your stupid government. And y'all, a lot of y'all still walking, advocating that they do that because you're scared. Go look at my previous Modelo virus videos. I've done several talking about what the approach should have been. I was calling this back in March because the data was already out by then, yet they still locked it down. We knew who the virus impacted. We knew more. We knew what we know about it now. To be fair, we knew about it back then as far as who it impacts, who's more vulnerable, old folk being more vulnerable, young folk virtually going rather unscathed. I know people talk about the long-term effects because they have to weasel their way into supporting this nonsense because a couple of people had some issues, which happens with the code as well. But there's no significant amount of people that are going to be walking away from this with long-term effects. They keep finding new reasons to keep you locked down. And the answer was always this. If you wanted to assume the risk, go assume it. I don't matter if you're old or young. Yes, the old folk are more vulnerable. But like I've said, if that's a risk that they want to assume, they should be free to do that too. You probably shouldn't, Cuomo, put little ticking time bombs in the nursing homes. I wouldn't advise that. But as far as them actually wanting to go out and assume the risk, oh, they should be able to do it, even if they're at risk. Nonetheless, if you want to stay at home, if you want to practice your social distancing, if you want to wear a mask wherever you go, in the car, whatever, you should be free to do that. Just don't force everybody else to have to do that. If you run a business and you want to make sure people are practicing social distancing, you want to require them to wear a mask, do that. We don't need a state mandate to force everybody into hiding or determine which businesses can operate and how they must operate if they are to exist. But the longer this goes on, the well continues to run dry. The money ain't coming. And even the big businesses start to limit their size. It's going to get worse. And it sucks because right now, a lot of politicians, more in this case, Gavin Newsom, governor, whatever his name is, Newsom. Yeah, it's Newsom. And a lot of these weirdos are insisting on playing this politic crap, acting like they are the heroes of the matter. I'm trying to keep people safe. Not even considering the other issues here where you are derailing people's livelihoods and they ain't all rich. Now there's a bunch of people who are like, well, how the hell do I put food on the table? How do I pay for it? The money's not there, right? It's going to take a little bit to get that security blanket you no longer have. And they do that for the sake of playing politics with a virus. I believe if this was not an election year, we wouldn't be dealing with a lot of this bull crap. Nonetheless, this is how evil these sons of guns are. I talked about this in a previous video. I say, yes, they're evil. You wonder, like, why? If the virus wasn't as bad, right? You look at the countries that didn't do the lockdowns. Some, the Swedens of the world, they didn't have the problems that they claimed they were going to have. And then you look at the countries with the top deaths per million, they all got lockdowns. So clearly, maybe that's not the end all there. Go through the motions, derail people's livelihoods, and it's all for the sake of playing politics. Man, this sucks, and I feel for anybody that's lost their jobs during this situation. I say this as a guy that makes money traveling in a band, screaming in a microphone. It's illegal for us to do that now for the most part, and I feel for a lot of you. Thankfully, I have other avenues and other things that I've worked on to have multiple revenue streams. But not everybody has that luxury or was forward thinking like that. And it sucks. And I feel for you guys. in the lockdowns right now.